I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I was literally looking through some pieces in Artist Alley, and I was wondering if they were AI artists, and I wonder if the people that I'm thinking are the same people that got escorted out. Hey yo, what's up? We got a really cool video today. AI scams at art conventions. Now this one, this is very controversial. It's by Sam Does Arts. This is gonna be very controversial. I'm so interested to see how this goes because there's another video that we're gonna watch after this. Dragoncon AI artist removed by police, and I was actually at Dragoncon this year, and that's actually where I got that the painting you see right there. That's where I got it. I had to kind of sneak back into Artist Alley after it closed to get it because they were like, "Oh, we're only." It was the last day, right? And they're like, "Oh, everybody's gonna get ready to pack up in a bit," but there was still like 15 minutes before people were packing up, and they're like, "Nope, it's exit only now, exit only." And I was like, "Yo," but I just told bro I was gonna come back and get the piece, and she was like, "Nope, we gotta. It's exit only." And then she leaned in and she said, "Hey, go take the elevator upstairs, go around the back side, and come in on the other side." And I was like, "Oh, you're a real one." And it actually worked. I was able to go back in undetected, grab my painting, and dip. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is that there are AI artists out there doing scams at art conventions, which is something that I was very vocally against at the beginning of the AI revolution. So it's interesting to see how this is going to play out now. Let's see.
About AI grifters presenting their generated work.
Oh, make sure you like and comment, subscribe. You know.
Work as real art at art conventions and artist alleys. I've had a lot of artist friends reach out to me recently to cover this topic, and I don't go to these conventions regularly, so I'm not always super plugged in with these issues. But the more I looked into this, the more just absolutely disgusted I've become. So the first scam
720.
Scam here happened at Dragoncon, which I believe is a convention that takes place every Labor Day weekend
First one?
in Atlanta, Georgia. So as a shopper, you might assume that this is a safe space where you can support every single genuine local artist at the venue, but unfortunately that's not the case. So this AI prompter actually scammed their way into Dragoncon, taking up a very large table space. And when the staff found out that they were actually an AI prompter, staff had come in, security had come in, and they were escorted out. So my fellow YouTuber Inkwell actually did a really good video coverage on this topic, and I want to just play some clips so you guys can get some context.
Dragoncon is typically one of my favorite events of the year. However, they definitely had an AI issue this year, as there was multiple vendors trying to get away with selling AI material and passing it off as genuine artwork. Regardless of how you feel about generative AI, it is.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I was literally looking through some pieces in Artist Alley, and I was wondering if they were AI artists. And I wonder if the people that I'm thinking are the same people that got escorted out.
Against the terms and service of a lot of these art events. Collectors and general attendees go to these events thinking that the halls are vetted and that the work is done by professional artists. But we're going to focus on this bozo for the moment. I'm not sure when attendees and artists started noticing that something wasn't quite on the
when did they get escorted out, though?
But from what I was told by staff, they were notified on Saturday evening towards the end of the day, right before the hall was about to close, and confronted those in question. Now, if you look at the floor plan for the pop
Because I had my friend who was
the artist that is listed,
who was in Artist Alley. I had her get me in on the last day because I was gonna go in. Well, I had her get me back in after I had left. Well, actually, no. It was. Did I go in before? I can't remember if I went in before and then came out. I think I went in. I'm having a hard time remembering, but regardless, she was like selling stuff, and she had her like badge to like get into the garage shop, and the line was like hella long. So I was like, "Yo," I just ran into her on the side of the street. So I was like, "Yo, can you tab me in?" I was like helping her with her stuff because she just had a baby, and I was helping her out with her stuff to like carry up so she could start collecting her stuff. But yeah, she tapped me in. She was like, "Yeah, this is So yeah, this is my friend. He doesn't have one, but can he come up too?" And she was talking with them. So we had to tap in. You know what I'm saying? Walking.
Goes by the name Oriana. Looking at this booth, Oriana is nowhere to be found. As this was all taking place, people were able to notice on their story in their Instagram that they were in Europe, not physically being present at the event. Goes against Dragoncon's terms and service as an artist. When staff and artists confronted those running the booth about this and questioned them about these very Mid-Journey looking images, the man running the table said that he was Oriana's boyfriend and that half the work was his, and that's why the styles were different. And when pressed further, he said it was actually a gallery collective, that Oriana's father and mother had also been artists, and that's why every piece had no cohesiveness.
Now, one of the most suspicious things here, aside from maybe all of the AI artifacts that you might see when you look closely at one of these paintings, is the lack of a distinct style from this artist. And that's not to say every single artist needs to have a super unique and distinct style, but usually at these artist alleys, if you just glance across the booths, you can kind of tell that each artist has left their own fingerprint on their work, and they usually have a pretty unified visual aesthetic, which is clearly not the case here. You've got surrealism with the flowers and the woman, and then you've got very 2D looking anime art combined with almost hyper-realism.
I don't know if you guys go to like con and stuff, like go to Artist Alley, but usually, like he's saying, they'll have like a consistent theme, and then they'll have like that style spread out across like different pieces of like pop culture and stuff like that, and like different IPs or like OC art, anything like that, original content. But
the Joker painting, and then you pan down and you see Superman, which is a lot more rugged and graffiti-like, and it's very disconnected. It's lacking harmony, lacking cohesion, and it looks like it's been produced by multiple people. And if we just take a still from this footage, you can see this is happening with all the other pieces in this booth as well. You've got hyper-realism on 3D Batman, vibrant two-dimensional pop art on the fake Vogue poster in the gold frame, and then you've got like a very cartoony and simplified look for Snoopy on the top right corner. Now, if you think that there's a chance this was actually done by a real artist, here, check this out.
When the staff confronted the people at Oriana's booth, they denied it and produced a quote-unquote process video. A very questionable process video. A process video with lots of jump cuts that doesn't actually show any processes, just still images. You just go from this to this. That's how art is made, clearly. One that non-artists might not catch right away, but one that anybody who has actually drawn anything would understand that this doesn't
are those like AI process? Did they make... I wonder if they were like 4D with it. They were like, yo, let's make an AI art process video so that if anyone calls us out, we can show them and then prove it to them. But that seems like... That seems really like you know somebody's going to have a problem with it. Maybe they don't see it like that. Maybe they're just like, oh, it's AI art, so I wanted to show the iterations of the prompts that I did to like get the final end result. Is that what they're going for? I don't know, but
I wouldn't say this doesn't prove anything. This actually proves that this was done with AI. Again, see, this is what makes me so mad about these grifters, is that they are not targeting people who already know art. They're not targeting artists. Their goal is to target the people who just don't know any better, who want to go to these conventions, want to support the local community, who might not fully understand the process of art making.
I wonder how much they made
of these process videos and just try to con them and make them think that
they had like a couple of days before.
For anybody who's ever drawn anything in their life, you're going to look at a process video like this and you're going to know it's fake. Absolutely nobody draws like this, and there's no reason you can't have an actual time lapse instead of still images layered on top of each other.
On Sunday, we were informed that they were receiving a lifetime ban, and then first thing Monday morning, they were removed by either police or security and forced to leave the hall. However, it doesn't fix the real damage that has been done. Police or lifetime ban, and then first thing Monday morning, they were removed by either police or security and forced to leave the hall. However, it doesn't fix the real damage that has been done, as a real artist could have been in that spot. I'm also sure that they made a lot of money and misled a lot of buyers.
And unfortunately, I believe they did, because if you look at RJ Palmer's original X post, the account associated with this grifter, OG Art Official, which is...
Someone wasn't happy that I shared this true story. Oh, I'd share a screenshot of my sales this weekend, but don't have to show it. Give any explanation to you losers. That's crazy.
Such an ironic name, by the way. Someone had posted a story calling them out, and they replied in the DM saying, cheers, I'd share a screenshot of my sales this weekend, but don't have to show it. Give any explanations to you losers. And they then sent a message saying, you guys are sore because you don't sell shit and will be forever broke. Have fun being a broke bitch.
Why?
This just goes to show the mentality of some of these people. You know, they are literally fraudsters and scammers. They're here to make a quick buck at the artist's expense, and there seems to be absolutely zero remorse for the people they've actually conned.
And conventions need to be aware of this and be prepared on how to handle.
Because I actually know somebody who does AI art, like, as their thing. And it's not like he does it to try to scam people. He's just getting into it late, and he's not that talented, right? Like, he's an old guy. He's, like, in his 30s, right? And, like, he's not that talented. He hasn't had a lot of skin in the game. He doesn't have a lot of years of, like, digital graphics and things like that. But he does like art. So, like, he'll do, like, AI art. And he showed me, like, his progress and stuff, like, over, like all the courses and stuff that he's taken about, like, how to, like, integrate, like, artistic expression into, like using AI art and stuff like that. So he's not like, oh, just like pop it into like Midjourney and then put it on a thing and sell it. He, like, actually transforms the art, and, like, it's transformative content in a way. He would, like, show me, like, oh, this is what I started with. This was, like, the idea that I started with that I wanted to go with, and then these are, like, the edits that I wanted to make, and, like, this is what I wanted to fuse it with. And he shows me, like, transformations of, like, people that are, like, in real life that he knows, and then he'll, like, mix them with, like, some kind of, like, aesthetic, which has become, like, his kind of personal aesthetic, I guess, using the AI art. And it's an interesting process. At first, like, I was really, like, hesitant about it because I just didn't like the idea of using AI art. But then, like, the ways that he's been, like, using it has kind of made me rethink it a little bit, because I'm just like, you know, he's not the guy that's like, yo, I'm just gonna, like, pop something in a prompt, put it on the thing, and then just like ship it out at, like, cons or stuff, like stealing all that. No, like, he's actually, like, invested in it, which I can appreciate, you know, if somebody's, like, untalented, right? Because, like, it takes years to get good at doing art. I'll be completely real. Like, it takes years. And so, like, I kind of get it. Like, for someone who wants to be an artist, who wants to, like, do art, but isn't that talented, and they see AI art as, like, their way to get into it. I do have some, like, compassion for that. But them right here in this video, absolutely not. They're doing people dirty, and they're not even, like, civil people on the end of it too. They're all bad, bro.
Handle it when it arises.
Now, you guys know my take on this. I really don't mess with AI generated images, but at the end of the day, you know, it's someone else's choice what they do with their life, what they do with their time. If they don't want to learn art and they just want to press a button and do a prompt, that is out of my control. Unfortunately, you can live your life. But in the context of an artist alley where people are actually going to spend their hard-earned money to support the local art community, everyone there has expectations for the artists and the vendors to be legit. In the act of not disclosing and communicating to your buyers that your work is either partially or entirely really AI generated, in this context, it's literally fraud. It's a scam. And huge props to Dragoncon for actually kicking this person out before they could do any more damage. You can see the artist got kicked out with a police escort. Atlanta police.
Police escort is so crazy.
Now, another story that I want to cover here today involves another artist who attended Dragoncon, whose name is James C. Mulligan, who has recently been investigated and blacklisted by Disney for using their name to sell AI-generated artwork.
AI Disney Lorcana card art, bruh.
Quite a few followers, and he seems to be someone who's a little bit more established in the community already, which is what makes this second case even more insidious.
Looking at some of James' work, you will see that the base of his pieces looks legitimate, but then the rest of it is clearly fed through an AI generator to give it its finishing touches. It looks to me he likes to avoid putting in any real work to his backgrounds. So on the surface level, it's not as clear-cut to a showrunner to just kick out somebody like James. But looking at his work, there's clearly AI usage, allegedly, in my opinion, for those who have eyes. And it was clear at Dragoncon this weekend by anybody who passed their booth that his work is getting more aggressive into the AI usage, or at least it's getting more blatant. He also removed over half of the images on his gallery wall after people in the Dragoncon Pop Artist Alley started noticing something didn't feel right. A week before Dragoncon,
because I remember that
Alley
picture of
started noticing
was that Luke Skywalker,
something
right?
didn't feel right.
Yeah, I remember his booth. I did see his booth. I wasn't really interested because I don't know, it just didn't really resonate with me that much. Like, obviously, like, I appreciated the art, like, for what it was, but it wasn't something that really, like, resonated with me a lot. But, yeah, I just kind of, like, skimmed past it. I don't know if it was, like, I don't know, it just didn't seem different enough to me. It didn't stand out enough to me.
A week before Dragoncon at a different event in New York, Twitter user ToonEmu said, "Hey, so this guy at Anime NYC just blatantly lied to me about not using Gen AI in his work, then scammed my mom off of several $100 in prints." Emu said that she questioned James at the event about his AI usage. He ended up pulling out his tablet, and she said that you could see that the character was drawn within Procreate, but that the background was copy-pasted in. The part that clearly has the AI tells, with some of the books melding together unnaturally.
This is very blatantly obvious to anybody who's ever drawn anything, you know, just the warping of the shelves, the merging of the books into each other. A lot of these are signs of AI-generated artifacts here. My biggest problem with this is the fact that this is somebody who's using their established name, their established identity to sell work that was made with generative AI without, you know, telling, communicating, fully disclosing to his customers that this is the workflow that he used. As somebody who values clear, concise, and direct communication in all aspects of life, this baffles me. And this absolutely makes my blood boil because I have tons of friends who do conventions
if you're gonna be selling art, bro, you gotta tell people you use AI. That's just like, I feel like that should be a given, but maybe people are like, they are like trying to hide it. They're just like, well, I didn't do the whole thing in AI, so maybe. See, this is kind of like what one of my friends was doing, right? He was kind of doing stuff like this, right? He would like use AI for part of the workflow, but it's not the whole thing. And so, like, I get how, you know, you would have those comprehensions about people, or apprehensions about people knowing that it's AI, but you still got to tell people. It's like, that's like if somebody has an STD or something, it's like, oh, I don't want them to know that I have an STD, but I still want to have sex with them. It's like, no, you have to tell them, like, so that they can make an informed decision about what they want to do with their body, right?
Like this, people like James C. Mulligan here are taking valuable spots away from artists who deserve it so much more. You have no idea how devastating it could be to someone to not be able to get into one of these big shows. You know, it might affect their entire annual income. And then you have people like James here, people like the previous scammer, who just waltz in there with their slop. Complete lack of transparency of their workflow, just grifting money from the people who are actually there.
Yeah, the lack of transparency is so wild.
It's disgusting.
RJ Palmer, who was also at the Pop Artist Alley, said, "This guy is at Dragoncon selling AI images. Personally saw him making a $500 plus sale. He isn't just scamming, he is thriving while scamming. Truly vile work." And again, this leads back into the
No, I definitely saw his booth, because I really did enjoy that picture of her in the library. I definitely saw his booth. And we had the Lucasfilm stuff. Yeah, I saw his booth, but it felt like, I'm not going to lie to you, it did feel AI generated, because it felt too perfect, but not perfect at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, there were a lot of aspects of it that were just, like, kind of picture perfect, but then there were others that were just, like you're saying, like, the bookshelf and stuff, and then the black, the bookshelf, like, merging into itself in the background. Like, I really did enjoy that picture, like, the one that he's showing right here, with the homegirl in the library, but, it did feel very AI. It felt kind of uninspired to me.
Representation and misleading collectors and general attendees on what you're selling.
Now again, if you're at one of these conventions and there's somebody who is just setting off your alarm bells, you could always ask them in a nice way to see their process, because this stuff is pretty easy to prove. All you need to do is show a time lapse of you actually making the drawing, and that's exactly what this.
That's what Homeboy had. Hold on. Oops. Yeah. When he was when he had his booth, he would play a video, and he has them, like, on the website too. He would play a video of him, like, in his studio, literally drawing the pieces and scheduling them in for the print and everything, which was a good foresight too, which is good, because it's just cool to see anyway. It's like showing people's drawing process, but, like, it's a good counteract to say, like, hey, this is not AI done. You know?
User on X did. I then asked him if I could see the time-lapse replay, but he told me he didn't record one. I have made over 700 illustrations using Procreate, so I know for a fact that it automatically saves a time-lapse replay.
It automatically?
I told him this and offered to show him how to access them. He then got mad at me and told me to leave. I got into a bad fight with my mom about it after, since he tricked her into thinking his process was all his own and that he did not use Gen AI. For any of you guys who are not sure, the refusal to show any process work is a humongous red flag. And for anybody who's an artist out there right now, if you have not started recording a process for your drawings, do it now. Even if you don't like recording every single drawing, just keep a couple of them on hand from beginning to finish to show people that you're legit. Now, it's very unfortunate that we as artists are forced to do this right now. We're forced to kind of prove our innocence, but this is just the state of things. You know, you got to look out for yourself. When somebody else reached out to ask about this specific issue, James actually threatened legal action. In your statement, you mentioned photos and process videos proving your work. Could you please share those for clarity? James says no.
Thank you for your message. I have dispelled any reason to make the accusation with both close-up photos and the originals in the process videos, so I suggest with any further concerns, as this can easily be considered tortious inference. I don't know what that is. Inquiries to be sent along to our attorneys. That, or we can have our legal counsel contact you directly to discuss a resolution. Ooh. In your statement, you mentioned photos and process videos. Okay, this is the part that he's on. Could you please share those for clarity? No, at this point, we think the best course of action is to have our legal reach out to you.
At this point, we think the best course of action is to have our legal reach out to you. What's a good email for them to contact you? Again, just a threatening tactic, dodging the question. As an artist, record your process videos, show your process videos when someone questions you.
Yo, he put out this long of a statement just to say he's capping? Or even though he's capping? I guess people do that a lot though, right? They usually will go out of their way to like prove that they're not capping when they know damn well that they're capping. I want this.
It's very easy to prove your innocence that way. Now, unfortunately, he wasn't able to do so because he was guilty.
Nah. Okay, he's not gonna read it out loud, so I have to read it. Said, hi all, it looks like I've become very famous pretty much overnight, yippee, due to a certain unfounded your art is AI. Accusations that seemingly came out of nowhere from a young person that attended an anime show I was at. That's not an anime show, bro. That was Dragoncon. That's a pop culture convention. But that aside, that grew legs. I've been trying to lay low, but I figured it's about time this needed to be addressed. Out of respect for all my clients and friends that have supported me through the decades, long before AI was ever a word on the scene. As the artist in question, I will state definitively that multiple statements made are patently and provably false. First and foremost, that AI was used to create my multiple Lorcana cards. Not remotely true. Nor have I been blacklisted from working with Disney. Excuse me. The employee that stated these things deleted their tweet and took off their account private almost immediately after making these false statements. I've been waiting for communication from the team at Ravensburger, that's the people that make Lorcana, to be given permission to publicly share the layered hand-drawn files of my Lorcana cards, as unfortunately it would be in violation of certain agreements to do so without explicit written permission. So, my hands are tied. All I can say is that I have worked in some capacity with Disney for decades, and my years of work will stand up to these accusations. Though, not strangely, an AI detector which came back showing one of my D23 releases from 2014 was 99% AI. A rather humorous but absurd discovery. Yo, he had AI back then? I'm just kidding. I'm not going to judge this statement yet until it's finished. I understand completely the hatred for artists using generative AI and passing it along as their hand-painted creative work. AI has its uses, but AI, in my estimation, ultimately will be an incredibly destructive force for society and humanity as a whole. I did not use it, nor have I received any communication from Ravensburger/Lorcana team accusing me of such. This came from one person speaking on behalf of Lorcana, issuing a tweet, again, that was deleted very quickly. with no backup or even naming the art director they spoke to. Interesting. You know, he does make some interesting points, but still, like, I feel like, I don't know, man. I guess on this, like, I would have to just wait for whatever his legal team is doing to come out and say, hey, he didn't use AI, for me to actually be able to tell if he's telling the truth. Because there's a lot of signs for either side, right? Like the fact that that it feels like AI and it kind of looks like AI is one thing. The fact that people called it out for being AI is another thing. But then again, like, you know, him saying that an AI detector from like it clocked one of his things for like 2014, which to my knowledge, AI wasn't really popping like that in 2014, and certainly not certainly not that good if it was. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Let's see.
Way. Now, unfortunately, he wasn't able to do so because he was guilty. He was guilty of scamming people out of their money, and he was guilty of pretending like he didn't use Gen AI when he clearly did. And man, I freaking hate scammers and grifters. Like, all of that energy that you put into doing this fraud, you could have put that energy into drawing. How about putting that energy, James, into learning how to draw backgrounds? Instead of trying to fake process videos, instead of trying to lie to every single person who comes up to your booth, and then just happily taking their money, knowing that you've lied to them and you've just taken business away from some other artists who are way more deserving of it than you. Now, the third and final story is actually very local to me. This is Fan Expo Canada, which happened in Toronto, right on my very own stomping grounds. And I cannot believe I missed this because a couple of my friends who were at this convention told me that they spotted tons of AI generated art there, and after doing some research into this topic, apparently Fan Expo allows their vendors in the artist alleys to use AI generated content and sell AI generated content, which is just absolutely wild. Here's an article from Now Toronto. Fan Expo Canada has a publicly stated policy on the sale of AI generated art, leaving it unclear if vendors are allowed to sell it, which means they are allowed. If you don't mention it, obviously they're allowed to do it. Some people have commented, note that Fan Expo is a corporate for-profit convention. Ones like Anime North are actually fan cons that are non-profit, which is also why they allowed that Bell AI picture booth care more about the check than the actual fans. So of course it's a very money-driven scheme. All they care about is that all the tables are booked up and all the booths are sold. Apparently like a quarter of stalls were all selling AI artwork. Took opportunities away from real artists to sell AI slop. Someone said ban AI from all markets, expos, or make it mandatory to disclose that it was made with AI. And I 100% agree with that. Either
I agree with the disclosure,
or make it mandatory to communicate and disclose. Like, someone else who was there said the AI didn't
outright is fair, just because like there are some people that like just don't like, they're not scummy like these people. There are some people that like, you know, like the like a friend of mine who like use it in collaboration with like creative transformation, right? And it's not just like, oh, copy paste, put it in the throw it in the generator and whatever, right? But like, because like, I feel like there is a space for it, but people have to have the actual knowledge that, for one, it is AI, and the willingness to actually buy it knowing that it's AI. I think that's completely fine. But it's the fact of when it gets to like, it's the fact of when it gets to like, oh, I'm passing off this work as my own even though it's made with AI. That's scammy. That's scammy. People can buy what they want, but just like give them the facts, you know what I mean?
Good or as good as actual artists' work there. And there was definitely more than just a quarter of the artist alley, more like 1/3 to 1/2 of it was. Now, I personally didn't attend this event, so I didn't get to see this for myself, but based on all of the feedback from people online, it seemed like this was a real problem there. And what really concerns me is I don't know how many casual convention goers go into these artist alleys expecting there to be real artists who actually drew their work without even realizing that they're being conned out of their money by people who just type in prompts and pretend to be real artists. It's crazy. Oh, what's even worse about this, it's so bad it's almost comical, is that this company, this Canadian monopoly company called Bell, decided to host a free photo booth as a part of their advertisement campaign, except there's one catch, okay? You take a picture of yourself and this Gen AI turns you into a anime character. This Gen AI photo booth was actually placed directly near where the artist alley was, which is just a huge slap in the face. Now, their official statement is the booth featured.
I feel like that's kind of cool, just because it's like it's something different, it's something transformative, it's something cool that you can be like, oh look, you can like, it's people that are there with their families. They could be like, oh look, hey cousins, let's get this like AI cartoon photo of us. That's kind of cool. Like if it's good, like if it looks good, that's kind of a cool little souvenir, right? But because like there would be another thing like to get, it's kind of like getting a caricature, but like something like that would take so much time while you're at the con, and I doubt like there would be many artists that would be willing to do it and like run their booth at the same time. So I feel like that's kind of a cool idea, but that's just my opinion. I feel like it's cool. It's something extra to add on to like the experience at the con. That's how I see it. I don't really see it as like, oh, it's stealing attention from the other artists, because obviously like if you want art to have like a piece of art, you're gonna buy that anyways. So like that isn't competing directly with it. It's just an extra thing. It's completely different because it's like art of you versus art of something that you want. You know what I'm saying?
Content with no copyrighted material and no misuse of likeness. Local artists contributed original sketches for poses, angles, and compositions, and all design overlays were handcrafted. It was designed purely as a fun souvenir for fans, and we received a lot of positive feedback from people who lined up to enjoy the experience.
Yeah, that's
so
exactly
what
I think.
You're welcome to take that corporate speak at face value like they want you to. Now, unfortunately, I've just recently become aware of this issue, but apparently it's been going on even longer than I expected. So this is from 1 year ago, and somebody said, please research exhibitors before buying. Now, this is a very important tip, and I'm going to echo this in just a second. I made a mistake that I even tried to take precautions for. There's a vendor called Wall Nostalgia, but they also go by Evoked. They have a bunch of canvas prints, and they even claim to license out the art, even listing the artist's name, in this case, Sato K. I thought I would be supporting both a small business and an artist, but maybe not. So after doing some research, they realized that they couldn't find the artist, so the artist was likely made up. They reverse image searched for the art and nothing came up. Now, if that wasn't obvious enough, if you just take a look at the curvature of that katana as well as the wrapping on the handle, it is completely off. For anybody who's a little bit more experienced in art, you could probably tell right away that this was actually made with Gen AI. And this just goes to show this is somebody who went to the expo expecting to buy
not
real
that I'm an art
support
expert,
real artists, support small businesses. They're told that this piece is made by an artist when it clearly is not. This again is fraud. This is a scam. So Fan Expo is apparently allowing these scammers to infiltrate all of these artistic spaces like the Artist's Alley. So again, I want to make this video as a PSA for customers who go to conventions to buy art and support local artists, and I also want to make this video as a PSA for the artists. For the customers, okay, the first step you should take is to make sure that the convention has listed in their policy that they don't allow generative AI art in their artist alleys. And if you're going to a place that has not actually stated that explicitly, you've got to be very careful with your purchasing decisions. Always do research on the person that you're buying from. Check out their social media, check out their portfolios, check out their process videos, and actually go up and talk to them. You know, talk to them about art, talk to them about their inspiration. See that they're actually someone you can trust before you spend your hard-earned money. It boils my blood to see these grifters and scammers infiltrate these spaces, and honestly, I'm very proud of all the artists who do go to these conventions, who do speak up about this topic, because that's the only way to get our voices heard. You know, we've got to speak up, we've got to stand up for ourselves. These companies, these corporations are always going to be after profits and money, and they never really care about the well-being of the artist or the customer. So we'll take a stand, we'll keep talking about this. I think the case with Dragoncon and James C. Mulligan is a really good step in the right direction for preserving spaces for artists without Gen AI. And on a more personal level, I know a lot of people who do go to conventions to sell. You know, these are artists who make this their full-time job. This is by no means an easy job. You know, these guys are working day in, day out. They're flying to their destinations. 100%. They're paying out of pocket for their stays, for their travel fees. They're bringing all of their equipment with them. They're lugging all of their products with them. And these convention artists work so hard to put food on the table. It frankly pisses me off to see a scammer and a grifter take that table spot away from an artist who has worked so hard all their lives to finally get an opportunity, a shot at being at one of these conventions, only to be denied. Because in the case of Fan Expo, they just allow a whole bunch of scammers and grifters into their artist alleys. Anyways, guys, this is a PSA.
I was actually going to get some booths earlier this year because
be very careful who you're buying from.
I don't think I would have been able to just because like there were some limited spots
out against this. Hopefully this video helps you out. Hopefully this video reaches the right audience. If you're an artist, please share this with your non-artist friends so they know what might be waiting in store for them.
So I decided against it because like that being said, offer copies wouldn't have come in time for me to be able to do it and sign up for it.
Anybody mentioned in this video. Let's be kind and let's be civil. We don't have to stoop down to these people's level. Okay, subscribe if you guys want to see more art related videos, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
A W video, bro. I appreciate that. Very intelligent guy, my friend. Very intelligent guy. Mr. Sam does arts. I appreciate that, bro. I gotta throw up a subscribe. You know, always support my artists, man. TK, okay. But nah, I do want to watch this other video too. But before we do that, before we get into that, let me just wrap this one up. So, hey, if you liked it, definitely like the video, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about AI art, and especially in the context of like using it at conventions. Do y'all rock with that? Y'all agree with that, or like it's a no-go for you? Let me know down below, and subscribe, like the video. I'll catch you later. Bye.